I went in. I worked at this place called the Wine Cellar. It was this upscale, little tiny restaurant and off the river in Jacksonville. And I went to work one day, and as soon as I got there, this the waiter runs up to me and he's like, "Sambo, you know who Ron Jeremy is, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And he goes, "This guy don't know who Ron Jeremy is." I'm like, "What?" I look, and there's some other guy that works there, and he was like. He was like, he don't know who Ron Jeremy is. He has no clue. I'm like, how could you not know who fucking Ron Jeremy is? And he's like, never heard of him, never seen him, don't know who he is. And I was like, oh, you're crazy. I said, okay, if you've ever seen any foreign movies in like the 80s and 70s, you recognize fucking Ron Jeremy because he's in tons of them, you know. So, never heard of him. Okay. So, go to work. I'm doing my job, fucking making that place. I made tartar there, steak tartar. It was like I took these pieces of tenderloin and put them in a little rubber coop and brown them up with like fucking garlic and capers or some shit, and then just served it in a little patty raw to people. People would eat that shit. But anyway, I was cooking it. Anyway, that waiter comes back there. This is like 3 or 4 hours later, and he runs back there. He's like, "Oh my God, you're not gonna fucking believe this." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Ron Jeremy is in the fucking dining room right now." I'm like, "What?" Shit, no, Ron Jeremy. And he was like, "No, seriously, Ron fucking Jeremy is in the dining room right now." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, we were just talking about Ron Jeremy a while ago, and he's in the dining room." I'm like, "Yeah, horse shit. There's some dude that looks like him or something." He's like, "Get the fuck out here and look in the dining room." I'm like, "All right." So I fucking walk out there and look around the corner, walk in the dining room, and I look, and fucking Ron Jeremy is fucking sitting there in this table with this bombshell fucking lady in front of him, and they're and I look and I'm just like awestruck, you know what I mean? I'm like, holy shit, it's fucking Ron Jeremy, like Ron Jeremy. And I'm like, well, how weird is that? We were just talking about Ron Jeremy 3 hours ago, fucking weird. Okay, anyway, so it's like that, and we're closed, and I'm leaving. And it's time to go home, and Ron Jeremy's still there. Him and this girl's still sitting there, and they've already had their check and everything. They're just sitting there drinking wine and shit because the place is called the Wine Cellar, and they had a whole like room just made of corks, all on the walls and shit. But I'm like, okay, I walk up to him. I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, what's up, man? I was like, big fan, big fan. He was like, hey, nice, he was just laughing, smiling, shook my hand and shit. And I was like, how are you, man? He was like, good, good. I just got here today. I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. He was like, what's there to do in this town on a Monday night? And I was like, milk bar downtown. They got like fucking dollar Mickeys. It packs out. That's about it, really, on a Monday. And he was like, all right, all right. And I was like, man. I said, I saw a video of you and you sucked your own dick. And he was like, yeah, I could do that shit, man. I was like, that's unbelievable, man. He was like, yeah, we were laughing back and forth and shit. And I was like, all right, man. I said, all right, man, have a good night. He said he was in town to do with some business or something. And I was like, all right. I was like, it was nice to meet you and everything. Big fan. I was like, do you mind if I have your autograph? And he's like, absolutely, man. So I grab one of the waiters, little pads that they write the orders and stuff on, and give it to him, and he like signs, writes on it, and gives it to me. I read it, and it says, "To Sambo, best wishes to a guy more hung than me, Ron Jeremy." And I'm like, nice. And I've lost a lot of stuff, man, along the way, man. I still got that, so I still got that thing framed up, somewhere. It's one of my prized possessions.